Hello?
Hi, this is Richie with Pay. How are you?
I'm good. How are you?
I'm doing well. I'm doing well.
Thank you so much for doing this. I appreciate it.
Yeah, of course. Thanks for having me.
Please introduce yourself and tell me a fun fact about you.
Hi, my name is Richie. I'm an artist called Pay. I never know if I should say I have a band or artist named Pay, but I'm an artist named Pay. And a fun fact, a random fact. Um, I am 23 and I don't have my driver's license. That's a fun fact.
You're from Jersey, correct?
I am, yeah, originally from New Jersey, North Jersey.
Oh, exciting. So I'm from Staten Island. So.
Oh, okay, cool. Yeah, not too far. I'm in North Jersey. I'm in Wyckoff by Manhattan.
Okay. I always love talking to more local artists since I feel like here it's very different.
Yeah, no, that's awesome.
So I was wondering, when did you decide like this is what you wanted to do?
Pretty early on. I started like messing around with music when I was like 5 years old. I was really sick as a baby, and as like kind of like a gift to get out of when I was getting out of all that, my parents got me a drum kit, and it was pretty soon. I want to say about like 7 years old. I was playing shows like at a local, one of the School of Rocks when they were starting up, and I want to say it was around 7, 8 years old where I don't know. It's like one of those things. Like I never had a moment where I thought, like this is what I'm gonna do. It just kind of eased its way into it, and then you kind of just found yourself in it. And it was very early on. Before like 10 years old, I was just all in on this every weekend, playing shows every other day, going to practices, and never really looked back.
I love that. I also heard that you mentioned School of Rock. So fun fact, it was actually filmed on my campus.
Oh yeah, that's awesome. And actually, I think that movie was based off of because there was one, there was one in I want to say New York, Philly, and Jersey, and the one that I went to in Jersey, and then the movie came out right around when I started going there. That's actually really cool.
It's pretty interesting to me because like Staten Island doesn't really have a big local music scene, and then we have
Hmm.
this iconic movie that was kind of filmed, and then it's like, oh, this is
I
the movie
know.
of class. So it's kind of interesting to see where people come
That's
from.
very cool. Yeah, that's very, very cool.
So you mentioned you play the drums. Can you tell me how you pick your respective instrument? I think you also play guitar too, right?
Yeah, guitar is my main
Okay.
instrument now. I haven't played drums in a long time. Um, I started with drums, and then I kind of, as like I said, I was at School of Rock, and I met a bunch of older kids that I really looked up to, and there was this one kid named Corey, and I always watched him play guitar, and it was one of those things where you just watched, and you're like, I don't know how, but I want to do that. Um, and I just kind of over the next couple of years just kind of taught myself that and moved on to guitar. And that was really where I fell in love with music. I think because my like later on I found out that writing was literally like that was what I wanted to do. I wanted to write and be an artist on stage, and it was kind of hard to do that just playing drums. So I think that's why I really fell in love with guitar because I can express myself a lot more in a original way. So I was able to write music and actually write songs on guitar. With drums, I can kind of just play, the backbeat of the songs or, cover songs. So I think that's why I really fell in love with guitar and singing, just so I can express myself through writing.
I like to say, this is going to sound super philosophical, the instrument picks the person.
Yeah, no, very true. Very true.
um, as you mentioned, there was kind of like a progression towards what led you to gravitate towards guitar. So I think that's
Hmm.
pretty interesting to see everyone's stories on why they do what they do.
Yeah, no, for sure. I definitely agree with that. It's like you said, for it to develop like that, I think it's just meant to happen that way. So, yeah, that's very cool.
Do you mind if I ask what your favorite guitar is?
Like the one that I have or
Yes.
just overall?
Yeah. Oh, I've
Um,
never been asked that back before. I guess whatever you want.
oh, uh, I'll, uh, what I have a Fender Jaguar, and that's like, that's my go-to. I play on stage most of the time. When I write and record, I just always pick that one up. Overall, man, I don't know. There's so many. I have dream guitars for like different aspects. Like I would love this acoustic. It's a Gibson acoustic. I forget the actual name, but like I love Gibsons for acoustic. They're nice and big and fat sounding and very low. Um, for rock music, Gibsons again. For like more of the plucky, like you know, um, like funky stuff. I love the Fenders. It's hard. Like for me, it just depends on what you're doing. What music you're playing. But for guitars I own, I always find myself going back to the Jaguar. So I gotta say that one.
Awesome. So my next question for you is, what music are you currently listening to? We always like to know more about the people we speak to, and I feel like what people are currently listening to kind of influences their taste in a sense.
Yeah, for sure. I don't know. Lately, with the pandemic going on and everything, I haven't been like discovering new music lately, which is something that I like to do. Every couple of weeks, but I haven't been doing that lately. I've been finding myself going back to like older John Mayer and like just stuff that I kind of like is kind of like my roots. You know what I mean? Been listening to a lot of John Mayer. Been listening to a lot of like I don't know, like old like 2000s emo. I mean like the 1975 just put out an album. I was rocking that lately. I don't know. It's been a lot more going back to like my old playlist lately, and kind of going back to like 2000s, early 2010s, and it's kind of like rediscovering the roots because I've kind of been like a little writer's block lately with everything going on. It just doesn't feel, there's nothing really there that makes me want to write. So I'm just trying to kind of keep my roots up and keep, just vibing with stuff that really gets me going, and trying to keep the energy there while everything around us is kind of lower, So I've been going back to that a lot.
It's like this sense of familiarity, and I think that, at least like for me, during this whole quarantine, I've just been listening to artists I don't really know, just because I have the time now. And
yeah, no, that's smart.
It's been a roller coaster, which kind of leads to my next question, because I now have a bigger vinyl collection than I did in the past, and it's mostly because I've just been buying a lot of vinyl because there's nothing else to do. So what is your favorite album in your personal collection? And by personal collection, I mean you physically own the album.
Oh man, I'm actually looking at all my vinyls now. I have a lot because my grandfather, he always goes to these garage sales and flea markets and stuff, and every week he's bringing me these old really vintage albums. I have a bunch. I don't know. It's a toss up. I love Michael Jackson. I love Bad. I love Thriller. It's kind of hard to pick between those two. I don't know. I think I'm gonna go with Bad. I have it right on top too, so you can actually see it. So I think that speaks volumes.
I think vinyl has been having this kind of bigger uptick recently, as you mentioned, flea markets. I love going to flea markets and finding albums that maybe I wouldn't have thought to get myself, or just go through and see what's there. It's kind of feeling it out and seeing. I feel like the album covers kind of draw a lot of attention because I might not pick something up because I've listened to it before, but because the album cover looks pretty cool. Yeah,
it's just cool to have sitting there and just look at it and actually see it. Yeah, I totally agree. And the cool thing for me with vinyls is I like getting them brand new for sure. Like all the newer bands, I have them all brand new. But seeing these old ones that have been through the ringer and you could tell have a bunch of different owners, I think there's something really cool about that, and it really brings out how long this music's been sitting with people. And it's kind of cool how in 2020 I can hold this album and say that I know all the words and I jam it on a daily basis when somebody's had this for 30, 40 years, so I think that's really cool as well about vinyl.
I totally agree. I think it says a lot about music in general because, as you said, they might change owners throughout its longevity of being an actual playable piece of music, and it's crazy to think that everyone listens to it differently.
I know, yeah, that's a very, very cool way to look at it, and Yeah, no, I agree. I think that's the very special thing about vinyl, because Spotify, you can just, you go on, it's kind of like your own unique listening experience. But like you said with vinyl, just knowing that it's like your own way and it's been through so many different people has a really special place.
So speaking of streaming services, what is your opinion of them?
I know there's a lot of different opinions on them, but I think me being young, I'm only 23. I love them. Like I think it's so cool that because like back in the day, really meaning like 10, 15 years ago, when the iPod was a thing, you can only have a certain amount, and like you had to do it yourself. Like I think it's so cool that you can just pull out your phone and like, oh, release radar. Oh, I've never seen this band before. Let me hear it, and you can listen to the whole song. Like you know what I mean? Like there's something really cool about that and really futuristic about it. And I think I understand like why there's so many different opinions on it. The income, the all the different aspects. But for me, I don't know. I love that. I love the idea of being able to have every single song, just at the tap of a button. And if somebody releases something, you can listen to it at midnight. You don't have to wait the next day, drive to the store, go get it. There's still something so special about that. I think if you really love an album, you should do that. But there's just something so cool about that to me, that the second it comes out, you can just listen to it. Or even if you don't know it's coming out, like you'll get a notification about it, or anything like that. So to me, I think it's really cool. I think it's such a game changer for music, and I think it has changed music in a big way. You can put out as many songs as you want now without it being, well, oh, I just went to the store to get the album. I don't want to go get you another one a week later. So I think it's really cool that you can do that and have singles, and you don't have to go through a hassle of getting it, or even with the iPod, you don't have to go find it. You don't have to take songs off so you can fit this song on. Like I love them. I think it's such a game changer, and it's a really, it just like it just changed music the way it is now.
So I have some thoughts on Spotify. I do use it every day. It is a great
Hmm.
service. Some things I wish they could do a little better. Personally, I don't think monthly listener counts should be available to the general listener. I feel like it
Okay,
shifts
yeah, I feel that.
perceptions. I don't know. I feel like bills for bands are created based on how many monthly listeners people have.
Yeah, yeah.
And
No, I feel that. Um, I think it's a touchy subject, because like when somebody has a lot, like there's a sense of pride in that, like for that artist. But then when you don't have a lot or anything like that, like you said, it kind of takes away from being being accepted for shows or anything like that, or playlisting or stuff like that. So I kind of see the middle of that. You know what I mean? Maybe they can like make a thing where it's like when you hit a certain amount. I don't know, like or just the artist can see it on their. They have the artist app
great.
now where you can see. I get that for sure. I think it's cool to see the numbers as an artist, but as a fan, I see why it wouldn't necessarily be the best thing to have. You know what I mean? And as a booking agent and stuff like that. So I definitely see that point. I never thought of that. Yeah.
I agree. Like the artist should definitely be able to view it, and obviously for business purposes have it available. But as a fan, I think it shifts perceptions in a way. Like I've listened to some bands that maybe have like 85 monthly listeners, and they're sometimes better in my opinion than those that might have like 30,000. So it's very
Mm.
interesting to me to see how those play out. And I also think Spotify, even though yes, I do love Spotify, I have to always throw that in. I think it's promoting a single culture that wasn't apparent before. Like sometimes you
Yes,
miss
it
the
is.
flow of an album and just listening to it straight through, but there's all these playlists and singles being released that I kind of miss out on that for some artists.
No, for sure, yeah. And like when the band puts out an album, they pick one single to put in the playlist, which I understand why they have to do that, but I do agree with that it's taken away this whole album thing. Like there's artists now, like I mean even I'm doing it right now, where it's just like, you just put out singles, and it's like once you feel like you have a good solid like repertoire out there, then you feel like you can put out the album. But still, it's like almost like the album comes second at this point. Like, so I agree. They definitely turned it into a single culture, and it works for some people. It doesn't work for other people. Like for me, I love albums. Like at the end of the day, like that's my goal is to everything I'm making now put together as an album and release that and have people listen to it front to back. And even like the track listing, the order, it's all thought out. You put so much time and effort into making sure that it's a story, it's an experience, and every song flows into the next, and there's a reason why, and so you're right. Yeah, I think it does take away from the album experience, and I think if you're using streaming as a thing to just go listen to what you want to listen to, it's great. But if you're listening to it as a discover thing, yeah, it does take that away for sure.
I'm gonna use Boston Manor's Glue as an example. They just released an album, and I didn't really like the singles they released from it, like the ones that were placed on all these playlists. But when I listened to the album, I was like, wow, this is actually a phenomenal album. I just feel like the singles that were picked didn't really represent it that well. And
yeah.
I don't know if that was a curation thing or a conscious decision by the band to put out the singles that they did.
Right. Actually, I had the same experience with All Time Low recently. They're like one of my favorite bands ever. And they just put out an album, and it was the same thing. All the singles are like, I don't know if I'm gonna like this, and then they put out the album, and it was absolutely amazing. Mm-hmm. And even the singles sounded better with the album, like I was kind of saying with the track listing. It all, and that's a weird thing because sometimes you really, as an artist, like sometimes you want to play that Spotify role and like pick certain singles that you feel like would do well on Spotify, and then others pick singles that are like, oh, I just love these songs, I want people to hear them first. So it's you'll never really know unless they straight up tell you. But yeah, picking singles is a very it depends on the band and depends on the artist on what direction they're trying to go. And I agree. It's same thing happened with them. That's crazy.
All Time Low's full album is really good though. I do have it on
vinyl. Oh, the Wake Up Sunshine.
Yeah, I got Wake Up Sunshine.
Yeah, I got it right here. Second, it's right under Bad. Yeah, no, I love it. And even like I said, even the singles, like later on when I heard the whole album, I love them so much more now because I feel like it all intertwines. But as individual songs, it wasn't like I love them. Don't get me wrong. It just wasn't like it wasn't throwing me over the top. But then I heard the entire album and I was like, wow, these songs are amazing.
I 100% agree. Yeah, it was the same type of thing.
Yeah. It's crazy how that happens.
So my next question for you is kind of related to this. If you could change one thing about the music industry as it is today, what would it be and why?
I think, I thought about this one actually. I think local shows are really dead. And that's something I really, without noticing, that really drew me into music growing up. There was so many local shows and there was so many just different just different bands you never heard of playing, and that's really how it came about. And like you go, you'd hear a band, you love them, you buy their EP, and like that's how you really grew. Almost like you feel like you have a relationship with this band, like they're your friends almost, and like you have this like family atmosphere, which I feel like is very gone right now. And like that's kind of like I was saying with the whole, the new era of singles and Spotify and all this stuff, that kind of really took away from that, and that's really sad to me. I think it used to be local shows, labels would come out and they would, and basically the fans would put the bands on labels' desk. You know what I mean? Like you'd have local shows and you would grow it yourself and go around and just friends would tell friends, they'd buy your EP, and then it would kind of just grow this thing, and then basically you get to a point where it's like you don't even need a label. You're out here making your own impact without any internet, without any streams. And I think that's something. It's so organic and it's so raw, and that's very dead. Like it still happens, but it's not nearly as much as it used to, and that's something I find very sad and very it's just missing that. It's missing that raw organic feel. Like every show I ever go to now, I don't even go to many shows anymore, but when I do, like there's never any small ones. It's always the big ones, and then they'll have like one band that you never heard of very first, but there's no shows that's just like 5 new bands you never heard of, and you're going with this clean slate and just finding people that you love and buying their CD. And there's something really special about that. I feel like it's missing in today's music industry.
That's so true. So as I said earlier, like there's nothing here, so I never really got to experience that. I wish we had that here, even in some capacity. Even when I was growing up, that would have been nice. But I go to Jersey for my shows. I travel.
Yeah. But see, that's the thing. Jersey, like growing up, there was like I'm in North Jersey, and there was so many shows within 15 minutes. Or like if you wanted to go to the bigger one, you go to Starland Ballroom, which is like 45 minutes out. But now it's like there's nothing. Like Starland gets a show every now and then, and but if you want to go to a show, you got to go to Manhattan and to the big venue. Like there's no more. Oh, let's go 10 minutes away to the the club down the street and go see these bands play tonight. There's no more of that, and it's really sad. It's really died down. Like there's one venue that's still open here, but it's a restaurant now. Like they don't even have bands. So it's definitely died off for sure, and it's real sad to see.
Yeah, I definitely understand. Like we have a bar that maybe we're lucky.
Yeah. I went to Staten Island recently to see Bill Burr had a comedy show. I think that's the only show I've gone to in Staten Island. I don't think I've ever actually seen a band play there. What's that?
Was it at St. George?
I think so. Yeah, it sounds familiar. I think that's right. Yeah, it was sometime in 2019. It was awesome. It was a beautiful theater.
Yeah, School of Rock was also filmed there too.
Oh, is that where they did the concert?
Yeah.
The end? That's awesome. I didn't know that. That's really cool. Now that makes it even cooler. I saw Bill Burr where Jack Black ripped with some kids. That's sick.
Yeah, I normally go to Starland or Asbury Park.
Oh, Stone Pony?
Yeah.
Yeah, I grew up. I played a lot of shows inside there. I know they do outside now, but when I was younger, I played a lot of shows inside. That place is awesome.
Mm-hmm. It's like 20 minutes from me, so it's...
Oh, really? Damn, that's awesome.
My next question for you is one our PR director, Grace, came up with. And the question is, what is your opinion of releasing an artist's unreleased music after they've passed away? Should it be released or should it not?
Ooh, that's touchy. That's a hard one for me because I don't want to speak on anybody else's behalf. Personally, I would think it all just depends. I think the people closest to those artists would maybe understand more what they wanted. It just depends. Like, did they feel, if there's somebody that knows that they felt like it was at a point where they wanted people to hear it, was it completely broken down and not ready at all? Because, songs go through so many motions. Sometimes you'll have a song and then a year later, like, you put it out, but it sounds completely different from when you did the demo. And so I don't know. That's a hard one. I think it's all situational. Just maybe gather the people that were closest and kind of in the room when they were doing a lot of their stuff, and just kind of. I'm sure they have like an idea of what they would have wanted. But that's a hard one because it's just so artists are so different in that way. Like some people are totally cool with people hearing every version of a song, and some are like, no way possible will you hear any version of this until it's completely, you know, put away. So that's a hard one. I think it's situational for sure. But sometimes there's situations where, if let's say it's a really big artist, where labels will kind of take over and just be like, now we're putting it out, and it's like, that's a little sad, because it's like, you want to do what they would have wanted, and what they would feel comfortable with. So I think that's a hard one. I think you have to kind of go to the people that were closest with the artist and kind of see what they would think the person would want, and just take it from there. I think that's touchy.
So I'll give some backstory as to why we asked this question. Grace
Mhm.
was listening to the Little Peep songs that were released like a year ago now, and
Mhm.
she said they sounded like unfinished bedroom demos. And then
Right.
Mac Miller's Circles came out, which we thought was tastefully done because his family gave consent, and the producer who worked with him on the album finished it.
Mhm.
So
Yeah. Oh, I love that one. I listened to that. It's beautiful.
So we think this should all boil down to the concept of artist wills or negotiating this into a contract, since everyone, as you
That's
said, has
smart.
different opinions. So no one's taking it out of context of what the artist would have wanted.
That's smart. Like you're basically saying, like, when you sign like to a deal or anything like that, that you have this kind of in there, and
Mm-hmm.
that's smart. That's a good way to do it, because then there's no questions. There's no
Mm-hmm.
what ifs. There's no how would they feel. There's kind of no, and that's a smart way to handle it. I think you're right. I think you know with that being a thing now, and unfortunately being a thing now, um, because there's so much music being made. It's not like back in the day where it was an album, you tour for a year, and then there's no like demos just sitting there. It was just
Mm-hmm.
like, you made an album, you toured, you made an album, you toured. But now there's so much music going on, it's unfortunate that could happen. So I think you're right. I think kind of getting consent, in advance, just in the unfortunate event that happens, I think is a really smart thing to do.
Yeah, it's just a way to make sure the artist does what makes them happy. Because, like, at the end of the day, when you're listening to some of these works, it's like, would the artist have actually been happy with what was released?
Exactly. Yeah. That's a big thing too, because like at the end of the day, it's all about them. It's like, obviously there's a lot of moving parts to it, but it's their name, it's their craft, it's what they're putting out there on paper, and then for people to hear, it's their heart
Mm-hmm.
and soul. So it's like, like you said, you gotta know that they would be happy with this, and they would be thrilled that people are listening to it or not. You have to know that. So I think that's a good idea. I like that.
So now we're going to segue to talking about your music. So I was
Okay.
wondering if you can describe your sound for me in 3 words.
Describe the sound in 3 words.
Yeah.
Um, 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 energetic is one. Cause like even when I do like more like darker kind of songs, I
Mm-hmm.
feel like there's always an energy to it. It's just hard for me to get away from. So energetic. Um, Honestly, not in a bad way. Careless is one I like to say, because
Okay.
not in the way of I don't care about what I do. Like, there's a lot of thought and care that goes into it, but just in the sense of when you listen to it and when you sing it live, or whatever, whatever the situation is. Um, it's always I always try to make it about, don't, like, just sit back and forget about everything. Just do whatever you want. Like, if you want to hang out and have a drink to it, do that. If you want to hang out and cry to it, do that. If you want to hang out and jump around and dance to it, do that. Like, there's no agenda to it. There's no like, oh, I want to make you do this one thing. I want you to feel this one thing. Like, there's no agenda to it. So I like to think it's careless in that sense. Um, Maybe that's not the right word, but I'm gonna go with that. Um, and then three, energetic, careless, and passionate. It's very passionate. I think it's very, there's no. I don't like to do any like throwaway lines, like like that kind of sometimes those really work, but I like to make every line and every word and every guitar hit and every drum hit make sense and have it go with the lyric. Like, you know what I mean? Like sometimes we'll do a drum snare hit just because the words being said over it fits that powerful snap or that soft snap. Like, so I think there's a lot of passion into it and a lot of, yeah, I think it's very passionate and very, well thought out. But at the same time, it's careless in the sense of just, I like to think of it that way. Like it's very laid back, but also very intricate and very, if you really dive into it, you'll see a lot of different layers of this emotion or this story that's being told, even without words. Just every instrument goes along with the story and tries to add a little, kind of like a movie. When you watch a movie, it's like there could be scenes with no words, but the music behind it just exactly what's going on. I like to do a lot of that.
I'd like to say a lot of things like that I noticed, at least everything was very intentional, as you said, and there were so many nuances that it took me a couple listens to kind of
to my stuff.
Yeah.
Oh, that's awesome. Thank you. Yeah, no, that's definitely a big thing for me. Like, if it takes, like, I'm not one that wants to just make a song. All right, that sounds good. Put it out. Like, I'll sit here for a year if I have to, and really like you said, like I like it when you can listen over and over and have different like you hear different stuff or you have different perspectives. Like I try to make it lyrically different perspectives too. Like one time you can look at it from like the way that I'm talking, that and feel happy, and then the next time you listen to it and like you listen to the words as if you're the person that or the thing that I'm talking about, and then you feel sad. Like it's like I like to have perspectives, and I think in the music as well. So that's cool that you realize that.
Yeah, there are so many different, like, I noticed this, at least for me, on Criminal Mind and I Will Not Go. I'm kind of viewing it as a double A in a sense, because like they go together so well that I have to listen to them back to back.
That's awesome.
I think they're telling this full story together, and then you can, like, Criminal Mind was kind of like more relaxed and kind of had this certain groove to it, while I Will Not Go was more upbeat, but they juxtapose, even though they're so different.
Right. No, thank you. Yeah, that's exactly how we felt too, and it kind of felt like a continuation almost, like same ordeal, same storyline almost, like not even just lyrically but like musically as well and sonically, and but like you said, like they do have this individual aspects though, where like Criminal Mind, like you said, is groovy, and like I feel like a lot of more of my John Mayer vibes come out in that. Not as intricate as him, no way, but just like the overall vibe, and then I Will Not Go is so punchy, and like the big 80s snare and the big compressed guitars, and but like you said, somehow they sit together well. That's why we put them out together. So that's cool that you realize that.
They complement extremely well, and I was wondering if you could tell me the story behind the two songs, because yeah I guess it's two.
Do you mean story like the actual song, like lyrically, or like how they came about?
You can do either one,
both.
whatever makes you happy.
All right. No. So Criminal Mind was both songs were originally written like 3 years ago in LA by myself, and then they kind of just sat for a while, and then this past December and January I went out to LA and worked with Jordan Witzegruder, and I was just like, I have these songs, they're not, for some reason they just won't get to that point that I want them to get at, and he really helped me like just kind of bring it all together and really like be like, oh, like this is what you're missing, but overall, I mean, like originally the story behind him is like, for Criminal Mind, it was like I wanted to do a thing that was more lyrically different, and it was I made it almost like it is a conversation the entire time rather than explaining a story or a feeling or an emotion or anything like that. Like it's literally just an entire conversation between two people the entire time, which is like something I always wanted to do. Like, I picture two people with like a cup of coffee, just being like, "Hey, what's up? How you doing?" Like, and like kind of just figuring each other out, and you're kind of just like laying out your, you know, everything that you feel is wrong with you, and that you hope that that's not a deal breaker, and that this other person with you can help you just fix that because you want to fix that and you want to move on and be a better person. And yeah, so we made it like a conversation the entire time, which is something I've never done before, which I really like. And I don't even think it was intentional; it kind of just happened that way. Um, so that's a really cool one. And the groove behind it is also something I've never really done before too. And then the little guitar riff at the end, like I said, that was kind of like the John Mayer and me coming out. It's because I love his clean riffs that he does, and they feel improvised, but then it's like, well, no, that's a melody. Like if you sing that, that's a melody, and so that's something I wanted to throw in too, and it never felt like it fit anywhere, but right at that end, it just felt perfect to kind of close off the conversation and to close off the entire story. And I Want to Go is like, it's like, it's something that you're hopelessly in, and like something that you have that's just a part of you and you can never let that go. So it's basically like, all right, like we gotta just figure this out because there's no way it's gonna dissolve or anything like that. So the whole thing is kind of like a desperation, like way of saying like, yeah, I'm not going, like we gotta fix this and we gotta figure this out and make life easy. And it's desperation, and what I really like about it is the dynamics are not something that I've ever really pictured. The verse is very soft and very open, just the little guitar with the drums and a soft vocal. And then the pre-chorus, I never knew what to do with. Like it never, like I used to have like just this like piano stab and the snare, and there was no life to it. And then Jordan was like, all right, why don't we try this? And like it goes from this soft verse to like this dance synth pop thing. And it's like, whoa, and it comes out of nowhere, and it really brought this pre to a whole new life. And then the way it goes into the chorus is that big open, like anthemic feel. I think it was just such a cool way to separate the song, but put it together. And that's something I really enjoy about it, just how different every part is, and like how many loops you go in while you listen to that song. And then you got the dance synth pop, you got the big chorus, the soft verse, and then the bridge is like just like a clap thing. And I really like the dynamics of it. And I think it's just something I never really saw doing before. And I think that's why these two songs just really sit well with me, and why I love them so much, because they're just so different than I would have, than I usually do, and how I usually go into them.
I like the process you kind of went through to get them to where they are. I think that says a lot about the different genres you're kind of delving into, and how you're kind of crossing all of these in a way that maybe isn't like as mainstream as it should be.
Right. No, for sure. Yeah. Like I never wanted to do like, all right, every song's pop, every song's pop rock. Like like it's at the end of the day, when you're making music, like it's gonna feel like you, like what I mean, unless you just go completely right, like it's as long as you're genuine and real with it, it's gonna sound like you. And it's like I love so many different types of music. I mean, but all the types of music I like they all fall under the category of pop. Like there's no, like John Mayer's pop, All Time Low is pop, Michael Jackson is pop. Like it's just they all have different elements. Like it's pop rock, pop, blues. Like it's just there's different elements, but at the end of the day, it's pop. So that's why I'm like, that's that's because at the end of the day, it sounds like you as long as you're genuine. And just so I like to bring in all these different things that I listen to and all these different things that I love about music and fit them in. You don't want to force them, but like when it works, it works. And like. So yeah, I like to keep all my quote unquote roots in these songs as long as they fit. Like even I Will Not Go at the end there's that kind of like ripping guitar solo, but it's more it's ambient, it's more below. But like, I love 80s music, and I love growing up Motley Crue, Aerosmith, there's all these different, 80s glam bands, but there's no place for guitar solos in these songs. It just doesn't fit. But it worked out where I'm like, oh, like we just end this song with a quick little improvised solo, and I was able to throw in my 80s influence into this pop song, this big like anthemic type pop song. So yeah, I like to keep it all like not forced, but I gotta put in what I grew up on and what I listen to now, and just anything I like, I want to put it in and show that side of myself.
So on that note, what is your favorite part of a song that you've written?
Favorite part of a song I've written? Uh, you know, overall part, I really like I really like, honestly, in Criminal Mind, I really like the guitar at the end. It's just like I was saying, like it's just something I never really saw myself doing, especially like a few years ago. Like I was never a crazy guitar player. I was always rhythm, write the music, and just never really do any solos or anything like that. But just I don't know, like it's just something like it's just like I said, I just don't think I would ever do that. So I think that part's really cool. It really sits with me. And there's this little part in this song that hasn't come out yet, so I don't want to say too much about it. But yeah, there's this little like vocal crack thing that I like yelled this part, and my voice cracked, but it sounded awesome in the mix, so we just kept it. And I don't want to say too much about it because it hasn't come out yet, but I think you'll hear it eventually when it comes out. I think you'll know what I'm talking about. And it's just one of those happy mistakes. I love happy mistakes. I think those are the best parts of songs. So that'll be out eventually.
I'd like to say that some of the best music is written in the spur of the moment.
No, that's very true. That's very true.
So can you please tell me what your writing process is like?
Yeah, it's different in aspects each time, but overall I like to sometimes it's you start a track on Logic, and then you grow it from there, and then you get a melody idea, and you just kind of build the track. Kind of start with the synth, start with a beat, and then you kind of put in a melody, and then you build the track, and then you throw in some words. Sometimes it's like that, and then other times it's you're just sitting there watching TV, and you think of a cool melody or a cool lyric, so you put it on your phone, and you just sit down and write it like on an acoustic guitar, and then build it that way. And even there's times too where you start it on an acoustic guitar, and it sounds like it's gonna be like this bandy pop rock song, and then you bring it to Logic, and it just turns into this whole new world, this track-based, synth-based song. So it's a lot of different ways. It just kind of depends on the day. But overall, it usually just starts with something simple, whether it's a lyric, whether it's just a couple chords or one little riff. It just builds its way from there, whether it's producing in a Logic or just growing it on an acoustic guitar. And then usually, once it's all kind of demoed out, I like to bring it to somebody else to kind of get their opinion. Like, what do you think? Does this suck? Is this good? Because like when you work for yourself all the time, like you kind of get locked into this way of doing it. And then like I used to have this issue like when I was growing up in other projects where I just put it out because I thought it was awesome. And like as I grow, I'm like, wait, no, that should have been different. Like, so I like to get other people's opinions as well as to what they think first listen, because when you hear something a lot too, it kind of feels like, oh yeah, that's cool, because you just get used to it listening, like hearing it that way. But then if you listen to something just fresh out of the box, like you can hear where there's flaws or where there's great things that could be better or anything like that. So it always usually ends up done until it's not done, and then I got to go back and and fix some stuff. But yeah, it's a little different each time, but overall it's same idea.
kind of understand, like, when I write a paper, I have to take a break from it, or, like, I sometimes miss words, but I hear them in my head. So I always
Yeah.
need to
Yep.
take a break and reevaluate whatever I'm doing, or, well,
Yeah.
yeah, working on for my job. So,
Yeah. No, you have to take breaks, especially when it's something that takes time. You know, because like you said, like when you're sitting there doing it, like after a while, it just feels natural. Like, all right, like, this is how it sounds. This is what it's supposed to be, and it's like, and then you go eat dinner and come back like what the hell is this? Like that doesn't work. Like so yeah, you have to sit back a lot because that was something I had an issue with too when I was younger. It was like work for 12 hours straight, no breaks, and you think you made this masterpiece, and really it's like you gotta step back and and like reevaluate it and look at it from a different perspective.
sometimes I notice it's, like, hard when you're living in the world of something for so long, and
Hmm.
then it's just how it is, and you're kind of just stuck in this feeling of, oh, I think it's great, but then you can reread it or, like, relook at it, and
Right.
have to
Yeah.
go through, like, so many more edits because, as you said, like, sometimes you think it's like, yes, I got this, and then you go back and you're like, wait, maybe this part should be changed.
Yeah, yeah, yep, yeah. You have to step back. It's not healthy to just sit there and think you finished it in one setting.
So my next question is one we've asked everyone we've interviewed. If you can be any item in the kitchen, what would you be and why?
um, do you mean like a food or just anything?
So at our freshman orientation, the question was if you can be any utensil. We changed it to any item since we felt like utensils were limiting. So
Right.
I guess it could be a food.
Um,
Yeah.
no, I don't want to be a food. I want to be an oven because I want to know what 400 degrees feels like without getting hurt. You know what I mean? Like it's just like if I'm gonna do that, I want to be something that I can't physically like enjoy now. Like if you put your hand in a 400-degree oven, that's gonna hurt. So if I could be an oven and just feel what that's like without getting hurt, I'm gonna do it.
I love the explanation. It kind of saves the.
Yeah, right.
I told people I'd be a knife because I have a sharp wit.
Oh, okay. My girlfriend says she'd be a knife too.
Yeah, I feel like knife is the most common answer, so I always get excited
Yeah.
when somebody doesn't say a knife.
Yeah. I could see that being a common answer. I don't know why. Just because like that, I kind of went towards that, and I was like, but like I want to do something that I can't physically like use or anything right now. So I'm gonna do that.
So, my last question for you, I don't want to keep you too long. What are your goals for 2020? It can be the year or the decade because the year's kind of been canceled.
Yeah, this year is kind of unfortunately, like I've realized everything going on this year has been pushed to 2021. So, yeah, I would say. Well, I mean, like I just want to get it. Like this is kind of a typical answer, but it's true. I just want to get my music out to as many people as possible, just because you know I'm making this music to you know help other people and have other people be able to step away from reality for even if it's just for 3.5 minutes when you listen to a song. And that's my goal. My goal is just to help people out when they need it and when they don't need it, even when if they're in a great mood and they want to feel even better. Um, so I want to get it out to as many people as possible that would use it in that way and use it as a release. Um, there's always, you want to be on good tours, you want to play to, as many people as you can. But for me, it's more about that. I want to play shows and have people come and listen to my half-hour set, and for that half hour, forget about school, forget about work, forget about any friend or family issues that you have, or even like I said, if you're in a great mood, I want to take a half hour and make you feel even better and have a better time and have fun with your friends. And that's always been the goal. That's always gonna be the goal. Yeah, just get it out to people and have them feel something, even if it's bad, even if they hate it. Hey, you got your frustrations out, you know. Like, so that's always been the goal.
True, it's very cathartic. Just
Yeah.
is there anything you would like to tell your fans and our listeners?
No, just thank you for paying attention. Thank you for listening. Thank you guys for having me. I hope everybody's having a safe year and continues to stay safe. And I hope to see you at shows that we can have a good time at. I hope you enjoy my music, and I hope you are having an awesome summer, even though there's a lot of circumstances. But yeah, no, just thank you guys for paying attention and listening to me, when you really don't have to. So I really appreciate it.
So thank you again for speaking with me. I had a great time. It was a lot of fun.
Yeah, no, me too. Thank you for having me. Really appreciate it.
Okay, enjoy the rest of your day.
You too.
Bye.
All right, bye-bye.